Ready to practice your listening skills in English? Let's go, my dear.
All right, let's dive into something that is the absolute cornerstone of child protection in UK schools, keeping children safe in education, or as you'll hear it called, KCSIE. Now, this isn't just some dusty document. Think of it as the essential playbook for absolutely everyone working with kids. We're going to walk through the must-knows for 2025. And let's start with the single most important mindset in the entire guidance. This quote right here, "It could happen here." This isn't about being paranoid. It's about professional vigilance. It's the simple, powerful understanding that no place is immune. This one sentence really sets the stage for everything else. Safeguarding has to be proactive, not just reactive. So here's how we're going to break it down today. First, we'll look at the foundation, this idea that it's everyone's job. Then we'll get into the toolkit, what every single staff member needs to know. After that, the path from seeing a concern to actually doing something about it. And finally, we'll zoom out to look at the whole framework for creating a true culture of safety. Okay, let's start with that foundation. The message hammered home again and again in this guidance is simple. Safeguarding isn't just for the designated lead or the head teacher. It is a statutory, legal duty for every single person who works with children and their families. No exceptions. You know, when we see the official definition of safeguarding, what's really striking is how broad it is. It's not just about protecting kids from harm that's already happened. See those words? It's about preventing problems and proactively taking action to give all children, and that means everyone under 18, the best possible shot at a good life. And here is something that is absolutely crucial to get your head around. This document is not a list of suggestions. When you see the word must, that means you are legally required to do it, period. And when you see should, you still have to follow that advice unless you've got a really solid, well-documented reason not to. That distinction is a big deal. So with that foundation set, what's in the actual toolkit? What does every single person, whether you're a teacher, a cleaner, or a volunteer, need to know from the get-go? Okay, these 4 things are non-negotiable. During induction, every staff member has to be made aware of them. And this isn't just a tick box exercise. You genuinely need to know, what's our child protection policy? How do we tackle bullying? What does our code of conduct expect from me? And maybe most importantly, who is our designated safeguarding lead, or DSL? A huge part of the toolkit is just being able to recognize the different types of abuse. The guidance is super specific. First up, physical abuse. This covers pretty much any action that causes physical harm, from the obvious stuff to even things like fabricating an illness. Then there's emotional abuse. Now, this one can be a lot harder to see, but it's incredibly damaging. The key word here is persistent. It's a pattern of making a child feel worthless, unloved, or constantly afraid. It's not just a one-off bad day. Third, we have sexual abuse. This is about forcing or luring a child into any kind of sexual activity. And it's so important to remember this includes non-contact stuff too. It can happen online just as easily as offline, and it doesn't need to involve violence to be abuse. And finally, neglect. Again, that word persistent is key. This is the ongoing failure to meet a child's most basic needs. We're talking about not having enough food, appropriate clothing, a safe place to live, or just not being supervised properly. And this is a huge focus in the guidance. Recognizing that kids can abuse other kids. Those phrases on the screen, "Oh, it's just banter, they're just having a laugh, boys will be boys," they are explicitly called out as totally unacceptable. Dismissing harmful behavior with lines like these creates a dangerous culture where victims feel they can't speak up. It has to be challenged every single time. Okay, so you have the knowledge, you've spotted something that doesn't feel right. What's the next move? This next part is all about the practical steps, the path from having a concern to taking real action. This is where you have to be clear and quick. If a child ever discloses something to you, this is the golden rule. You absolutely cannot promise to keep it a secret. I know it can feel like the right thing to say in that moment to build trust, but you have to be honest and explain that you'll have to tell someone who can help them. It's a tough conversation, for sure, but it's essential. The process itself is actually pretty simple. 1, you have a concern. 2, you report it immediately to your DSL. It's not your job to investigate or figure out if it's true. Your job is just to report it. Then the DSL takes over, they assess it, and they decide what to do next. And the 4th point is critical. Everything gets written down. Every concern, every conversation, every decision. But what if the concern isn't about what's happening at home? What if it's about a member of staff? The guidance makes a really, really important distinction here, and everyone needs to understand the difference. Okay, on one side you have a low-level concern. This is behavior that just doesn't sit right with the staff code of conduct. Being a bit too friendly with students, making off-color jokes. That gets reported through a specific policy. But on the other side, you have an allegation. This is way more serious. This is when a staff member might have actually harmed a child or broken the law. And that follows a totally different, much more urgent path, straight to the head teacher, who then has to get the local authority designated officer, or LADO, involved. Two very different things. We've covered the role of the individual. So for this final section, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The framework. How does an entire school or college build a culture where being safe isn't just a policy, it's just how things are done? A massive part of this is sharing information. Sometimes staff can get really nervous about data protection rules, and it stops them from sharing a vital piece of the puzzle. To help with that, the guidance lays out 7 golden rules to give people the confidence to share information the right way. Looking at this list, a couple of these just cut right through the noise. Rule number 1, the Data Protection Act is not a barrier to safeguarding. You can't hide behind GDPR. And Rule 4 is just as critical. You can, and you absolutely should, share information without consent if a child might be at risk. The child's safety always, always comes first. Another pillar of this whole framework is safer recruitment. This is all about making sure the front door is secure. It's a whole set of tough checks and practices, vetting people, checking their references, enhanced DBS checks, the whole shebang. It's all designed to stop the wrong people from getting a job working with children in the first place. And finally, leadership. The guidance could not be clearer about this. The ultimate responsibility for safeguarding sits with the governors and trustees. They must make sure the policies are effective. They must appoint a senior DSL. And they must get trained themselves. The buck well and truly stops at the top. Which brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? We kicked this off by saying safeguarding is everyone's job, and we're ending with that same powerful message from the guidance. It's a team sport. From the head teacher to the part-time volunteer, everyone has a role to play. So, as we finish up, I'll leave you with this one question to take back to your own school or college. Is your culture, your training, your everyday conversations built to prevent harm from happening in the first place? Or is it just set up to react after it's too late? Because the whole point of KCSE 2025 is to make sure it's always, always the former. Thanks so much for joining me.
Well done, my dear. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and write in the comments any lessons request. Also, before you go, if you want to practice more, you're going to love the next class. Click the next video above, and let's have some fun.